Welcome to the Power to Change Week 3. This is our third week
of our Wellness Summit. Now, we are doing these so that people have actionable steps to take into their lives. So every single summit, that we're doing it for 7 weeks, so this is 3 of 7, you will have things to immediately implement into your life that are easy, that are actionable, that you can really make a difference in your life right away. So we want everyone to have the most juicy, wonderful, glorious 2024. And so this whole summit series is so that you can have the tools in place to make that 2024 so extraordinary and really glorious. So
yeah, and goals seem to be one of those things that really catch people up, because they set these goals and either they forget that they set them, so they're not present, they don't see them anywhere, they have no why, like they don't know why they're doing these goals. So goals come and go, then people get deflated, and everybody around Christmas and New Year's starts setting goals for the new year.
It's like there's this imagined idea that we've all adopted around the globe, that in the new year on January 1st, the slate is wiped clean, and that is the time that we can create, which is simply just a belief system. None of it is true. You can create from any time of the year, but the benefit of January 1st is there is a collective agreement around it. So there's a lot of energy and power and creativity in that time. So we're going to harness that. Yeah. And we're doing this ahead of time to have you not start on the 1st, to have it you already in action, in play on the 1st. So you're already starting to get results on the 1st, which then you can use that whole world energy to propel you even further forward. Now, most people, when they set their New Year's resolutions, they'll fall off on day 3 or day 7, or within 2 weeks it's completely kaput. And then what they do is, and what we do, shall I say, is give up on themselves, right? We're like, I've ruined it. Next year. Why would you do that when there is an entire year to create everything that you want? Why cut yourself off? And this all aligns with our belief systems, our value systems. So we're going to dive in deep to some of the key issues of why people just fall short or completely blow up or completely forget about their goals and their dreams of what they wanted to create, and then just get stuck in the humdrum of life again, thinking that maybe next year will be different. No, that's not a thing. We're here to disrupt that pattern and have you have the rest of this year and the new year be just extraordinary. So stick around the whole way through, because we're going to give you actionable steps on how to really make this year, the rest of this year and the new year really count.
Yeah, there's a few things that people do every year that they just keep repeating them, and like to get the exact same result. So they get frustrated, and then there's and what we're going to share with you in this live is the fuel and the power to change, like actually what it takes to set goals and create a vision of your future that you can actually align your core values, your belief systems, your thoughts, your emotions, so that you're actually heading in the right direction. And the things that trip people up, we're going to get into those things. We're going to share with you in this next maybe half hour how, or like why, and that's where we're probably going to start. Or do you want to start with the other one first?
No, that's the perfect place to start.
Most folks just put some goals down, and they never look at them again. And they're like, why didn't they come true? So a big part of this is creating an existence system. And a lot of these things are like the technical stuff, what you can do, like have it repeat on your phone every day at noon so you see it. But none of those things are going to work unless you have
your why.
So why?
Why do you want this goal? A lot of people, I'm going to use weight release as an example because it's measurable. Like if I release 10 pounds, that's a measurable result, right? And a lot of people set those goals. I want to lose some weight, they say. It's like, why? why do you want to lose weight? Like, if we talk about weight loss, it's just a imagined number. It doesn't actually mean anything unless we connect it, right? And so, I'm going to lose 10 pounds so I can fit into a dress. That's a little better, right? But it's like, that's still, it's a little like basic. You want to get into the feeling and the motion and all of the other things as to what is connected to that release, right? So let's say 20 pounds, right? You fit into some dress. Most people can achieve this if they have a big event like a wedding or something.
So why?
So exactly. It's like, I want to look extraordinary at my wedding or at my child's wedding or whatever. And so they're really driven. So then they won't pick up the donut because they're like, getting into the dress I want and looking a specific way is what's important. But unfortunately, once we hit that date and we look fantastic, you might release all the weight and look fantastic and everyone comments, and then that date is done and you're like, go back to the normal way of eating, normal way of doing things, because you're not restricting yourself. So we want to, all of these goals that we create shouldn't have, unless they're completely definitive, like, this is a completion and it's done. When it comes to your health and your life, it's a never-ending goal. You have to continue to re-engage with it and to create newly, because especially when it's your health and your body and or your emotions, then you have to continue the journey. You don't arrive and then go, I'm here and now I'm gonna do whatever I want to do because I made it. No, that's why people release a ton of weight, put it all back on. And so this is what we want to have you avoid. So your why, right? Why do you want to release that weight? Now, it's not just for this wedding to fit into this dress. There's so much more. It's like, what is it? What is the impact of your body carrying around an extra 20 pounds all the time? Now, for some of you may know, we have a 2-year-old, and when I was pregnant, as with any pregnant woman, you're carrying around a bunch of extra weight. So I carried around an extra 40 pounds of weight, and the impact on my body was very noticeable, like how much harder it is to walk across sand, how much more you get out of breath, how much harder it is on your joints and your body in general when you're carrying around an extra 40 pounds. Now, I obviously knew that was going to shift after the child was born, but some people do that plus more. We've had some of our clients release up to 120 pounds with us. Now that's an entire person that they were carrying around. Imagine carrying around a person of 120 pounds all the time. Imagine what that does to your body and your health, in your longevity. It's a lot. It's too much weight it's too much burden to bear, right? So you want to think about exactly why it matters to you emotionally. Like, if you are not carrying around those extra pounds, and for anyone that's just tuned in, I use weight because it's easy and it's measurable. This can relate to anything that you want, a specific career, specific relationships, all of these sorts of things. You slot in your goal and your vision to it, but I use weight because it's measurable and it's easier for everyone to understand. So the health implications, your longevity implications, how you like fitting into clothes, how you walk into rooms, all of this is impacted by if you release that and keep it as your lifestyle, that it never comes back, right? And so it's what is the infinity game? What was it called?
It's an infinite game.
Infinite game.
Not a finite game.
It's not a finite game.
It's not a winnable game.
When you're with your health and with relationships. So let's say
areas that people play them like they're finite. Like, I'm going to win my marriage, or I'm going to win my fitness, and they're infinite games. The goal is actually to keep playing the game. So the rules are, how do I keep playing this game the longest and with the most kind of fun? And so relationships, fitness, health, these are infinite games. You can't necessarily win them.
Yeah, and
I won my marriage.
I want to give you an example of that. Let's say you have been dreaming of your dream partner and for years, and then you meet them. And it is wonderful, and you get married really quickly. And then it's not what you thought it would be. And then it starts to disintegrate. And it's because you thought you won. Like, oh, I got it, I won, I got married, it's done. No, that's where the infinite begins, because if you want a beautiful, wonderful marriage, you have to keep reinvesting into that. We can't get to a level of our relationship where we're like, oh, we're so wonderful.
We've made it.
We've made it.
Really
No,
made it.
You have to continue to put energy and love into that relationship in order to make it extraordinary. Now, so many people think Paul and I have this charmed, blessed, amazing relationship, and we really do, but we put so much work into it. We had coaches, we did programs, we did all the things really early on in our relationship to have it be what it is today. And then still we have to redirect more attention. This is the key cornerstone of so much of our lives, making sure this relationship is nurtured and taken care of. So we continue. So it's infinite. You never arrive at a goal and it's done. And your health is that way too. You might arrive at your peak health and you're muscly and everything is great, but if you stop going to the gym, you start eating crap, it's going to go away again. And everyone gets upset about that, like it's a problem. And it's like, that's life. We're in life to continue, expanding and growing, and we fall on our face, and that's perfect. That's wonderful. How do you pick yourself back up and get back into it? People get all upset that they have to continue something. And so what we're really passionate about is having people understand what their bio-individual needs are and how to maintain their blueprint for health for life. And full disclosure, we're going to talk about one of our programs throughout this. We created a year-long program so that people really have this be their life forever, and it's sustainable, and they know their game, their infinite games. They know how to continue to play them. So we want to get into that, but we should introduce ourselves really quickly.
Well, first, if you're just tuning in, this is the Power to Change Wellness Summit Week 3, and we're talking about goals and your 2024, how to set yourself up for 2024. This Kate Austin, you tell them about yourself.
I have my master's in neuro-linguistic programming, and I am a Tony Robbins trained strategic intervention coach. I am obsessed with all things of the mind and the mind's power to change anything. If you are in the right community and you have the right belief systems, you can do the miraculous, the impossible. We see it constantly in our programs. People proving their doctors wrong, people shifting things that seem impossible to be completely possible, and the only difference is their why was strong, and they had the belief system to support that, and they had the community to support their belief system. So they are the 3 factors that make the impossible possible, and the miraculous achievable, and normal. So expect miracles is something BJ Palmer, who created the son of the person that created chiropractic, he says expect miracles. We are all about that, because if you expect them, guess what? They show up. So I'm all about the mind, and this extraordinary, hunky, wonderful human being is all about the body and longevity, and he's going to tell you a bit more about himself.
I've always had a passion for fitness, and it started from a vanity place of looking good, and I always, in volleyball, I always wanted to take my shirt off between matches and have a 6-pack abs. And then I fell into modeling and had to look good for Men's Health fitness covers. I did about 8 or 9 of those over the years, amongst other things. So that I learned how to sort of get ready for shoots and get ready for looking a certain way. But then when my dad got sick, it sort of shifted and my why changed, which was to keep my dad alive. He got ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, and then he also passed from that about 10 years ago. But on that road, we went on a very deep dive into understanding longevity and detoxes and heavy metals and neurological degeneration, which is affecting many of you and your families with Alzheimer's and dementia and
MS.
MS and also, you know, diabetes and cancer. And so I'm trying to understand why are people jumping off the planet so at such young ages now, especially with heart things, and there's just so much going on. And then I got my functional nutrition degree, and so I sort of try to approach health from a bio-individual way. I believe everyone's different, and there's not one thing that works for everyone, except for probably sleep, exercise, and eating real food. Those things
And water.
Those things seem to make a big difference for people.
Yeah, that's the building blocks of everyone's journey. So people can't skip over any of those and expect to have the type of health and longevity that they want.
Yeah, and so that's sort of what we're committed to. And Kate and I have a program. We take people on a year-long journey through body, relationships, and mind. And
we that was one point you didn't point to. Together, we talk about connection to self and others, and that is so important. How to rebuild and refresh any relationship. How to have a great relationship with yourself, which is first and foremost. Because if you're being super mean to yourself in your head, you can't expect to be really lovely to everybody else and not get resentful at some point. So it's how you treat yourself is actually how you will treat others. So we got to get that relationship glorious and full of love to then have all of your relationships resonate in that same vibration. Mm-hmm.
So if you're just joining us, we're covering goals for 2024 and why they fail. And what we're talking about is your why, getting really strong on your why and why you're doing something. As you do that, your identity shifts. So you become somebody who gets up early, somebody who eats right, somebody who is committed to their family. Like your identity has to change. You can't just say, I want to do this, and then not change anything. And how you do that, so you've all heard of SMART goals, which is make them specific, make them measurable, make them attainable, relevant, and time bound. So like when someone's like, I want to lose weight, you're like, well, how much, by when, and how are you gonna do that? So creating, and then who you are to become those. The cool thing about goals though is once you get them,
24 a.m.
Once you get them, you're not gonna be happy. So here's the thing.
Hang on. Let's
dig into
you might be happy for a little bit, but by then you've shifted your value system, and so then you're going to want something else. It's human nature.
Yeah.
So that's what he means by that. You won't be happy for a minute.
It's so much more about who you become on the path to reaching these goals that you set for yourself. Who you get to be and who you need to be and show up for to meet your goals is actually, that's where all the juice is. That's what lights you up, is as you're transforming and changing, as you're heading towards these goals. It's who you have to create yourself to be to reach them. Then when you get there, you're like, oh, okay, well now what? We're, as human beings, we're always like, next, what's next? People get promoted, and then before long they're depressed again, or they
hate work,
or they win $1 million. They win the lottery, and it's not long they've blown it. They reset to the same level that they were before, and they're miserable.
And that's the upper limit problem. And if you didn't tune in last week, you'll be able to see the replay. It's all about your thermostat and how good you're willing to have it. Now, the issue, there was a beautiful example actually, babe, of so many people that win the lottery that maybe had no wealth prior to that do tend to blow it. They tend to end up with a bunch of sharks that take their money, they blow it on things that don't appreciate, and then they end up right back in the same position because they haven't shifted their thermostat. They might still feel unworthy.
Or their identity.
Or they're like, oh, I'm going to be like how they are in the movies and just blow it all, thinking it's infinite when it's finite, right? $1 million when you don't know what you're doing and you're trying to act like the man or the woman or whatever, then it's going to go real fast. So that is a perfect example of your value system needing to shift, and which means you need to expand your mind. You usually need to get coaches. You need to get people to help you see yourself in a different light, or surround yourself in a community that uplifts and inspires you, so that you can bridge the gap between where you are and where you're creating yourself to be.
Yeah.
So to bring this back to your goals, if you suddenly say, I'm going to drop 60 pounds this year, but in the past you may have dropped 5 or 10 pounds, and then you put on another 15, then your value system isn't quite there, and you saying that, you're in the back of your mind is going to be like, BS, crap, I don't believe that. And so if your mind is already challenging you on what you're creating, then of course on day 3 you're going to go blow it on Kentucky Fried Chicken or those donuts at the Christmas party or whatever it is, right? You're going to blow it because you don't believe that you can do that, and your value system isn't aligned with what you really want. So how do we get what we want, babe? How do we get it? It's such a mental game, right? And that's why resolutions fall off. So we have to have our why, a visceral, emotional, physical connection to why we want something. And it has to, push through all of our natural cravings and things that make us fall off the wagon. Now that can be emotional triggers. Someone upsets you, and what you do naturally is eat in order to feel better, or you do the sabotaging mechanisms to navigate through things that are hard. So this is one thing we love to say is choose your hard, right? It might be hard to not want to have instant gratification of food, or scrolling, or not exercising, or watching marathons on TV. That might be an instant gratification, but the long run, that's going to take you away from everything else that you want. That's juicy, right? So you have to be able, your why has to be able to laser focus you and guide you through those moments where you want to give in on yourself, to be able to pull you through those tough times. So you got to be really clear on why you're doing it. Now, the next thing is having an existence system.
Yeah.
So many people write their goals or say I'm doing this, and then they blow it up, and then they fall off, and then that's it. But if you are very present to what you're creating and why you're creating it daily, if weekly or daily, then you can get back on the bandwagon. All that matters is what you choose in the next moment. It doesn't matter that you fall off. We're human. We're gonna mess up. We are perfectly imperfect people. So what matters is that what you choose in the next moment. So okay, you blow it up on day 4. Happens, right? What you do next, that next meal, if it's weight loss, that next meal, the giving yourself a break. And we talk about this in another thing, is how to, when you've blown something up, how to get back on track. That was week 1, I think, of our wellness summit. So watch that. Yeah. So it's like everything is this moment right now, and what you choose next. Everything's a choice, even though it sometimes feels like it is not, to how you are going to reach what you want to reach. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the power to change. Your why, those SMART goals, they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. Mm-hmm. An existence system to remind you that you set the goals, because you'll never be present to your miracles if you don't have a way of having not just your goals, but your the wins. Like being present to the miracle that your life is, and setting up your technology in a way to, maybe it's as simple as an alarm that goes off every day at noon to go look at your goals. Mm-hmm. And or put stickies in your mirror.
Write them on your mirror so you look at them while you're brushing your teeth. Create a
system that brings that you're looking at them all the time. Mm-hmm. And just being able to see them is a really profound way to start to retrain your subconscious. Otherwise, you're just going to be in the rat race of doing what you've always done, or trying to fix or change yourself from the past or something.
That you're broken and need to be,
exciting. And then Kate talked a little bit about self-worth, and a lot of people don't feel they believe or they believe that they're worthy, or that they deserve to reach some of these goals. So dealing with some of those identity, who you are, who you create yourself to be, and your self-worth. That's what we dive in deep in our year-long program too, is helping people to really create who they are, bigger than their past. Meaning, like, a lot of things happen to people in their past, and some folks are that forever. Like, someone abuses them. You are not
your past.
Yeah, someone abuses them or tells them they're fat. And for some folks, they will be 90 or 85, if they're lucky to get that old, sitting there still having the identity of someone that either an overcomer of someone who thinks they're fat, or someone who was abused. Now they're like a survivor or a victim to that abuse. Their entire lives and they missed out on so many really cool things that you can have when you have more than one identity. And what we're offering is you can create your life however you want it. It doesn't just have to be how smaller than your dad financially, or smaller than your brother who's maybe earning. Like, we live in these tiny little things, and what Kate and I, and Kate's really good at this, is helping people identify these upper limits and these sabotage mechanisms, and blow those wide open so you can truly live a life that you love.
And we really have, everyone's going to experience pain. We keep trying to stay comfortable and avoid pain, but that's where our lives become unfulfilling and really just, how did I get here? This isn't what I wanted. It's because you keep trying to stay comfortable. You don't deal with the hard stuff, right? But really, we're all going to deal with pain in our life in some way, shape, or form. But turning that pain into your purpose, using it as a platform to rise from, because pain either will have you swallowed, or you use it as a new platform to rise from. The choice is yours. You know, we see people all the time that have overcome the most extraordinary things. Like my teacher, Tony Robbins. He had abuse. His mother had partners coming in all the time.
Forefathers.
There was all sorts of things. He was a janitor in his 20s. And now he's one of the most successful, one of the game changers, and like transforming other people's lives because he used all of his pain to become his purpose. When he first invested in himself to do something, like to be coached, to shift his belief system of I am a janitor to something that he wanted, but he didn't know how to bridge that gap. He went to Jim Rohn, and his Jim Rohn's program at that time was an entire month's salary for Tony Robbins. And Jim Rohn was like, figure it out. I don't care.
He's not going to give him a discount.
I'm not going to give anything. So Tony had to really want it. He really wanted that. He wanted the tools onto how to shift. And so he made it happen. Like, lived on barely anything, like baked beans or something. He did whatever he needed to do to get into that program. That program was the launch pad to shift his life, and he turned all of that pain into his power, and he has then transformed millions of lives so that people have tools to get through their hurdles, and so it's and someone else could have had his story, and then they just ended up smaller and smaller and lesser. So
what's the difference? What's the change maker then if someone that turns out, like, if they had forefathers who abused them and a mother, and they end up doing nothing with their life, versus someone like Tony who made a choice? And
they have to want it. You have to have.
But don't you think the people want it if they're even?
No, because so many people lead with their story and their victim. So if you're leading with that, then that's what you're going to get more of. So we need to create the environment in order for you to have your belief systems match.
And Tony put himself in an environment where he would change his beliefs. So Tony put himself in seminar after seminar to like retrain that mentality that he was raised in. So I think one of the answers is, like, the difference maker is really retraining your belief system and retraining
what you think you're worthy of,
what you're going to expect. And that's, for some people that's that's what we offer too. Kate and I offer a year of reprogramming your world so it can be huge. And
we are the catalyst for it. We're not there reprogramming you. You are creating what you want, and we're in full support of you having what you want and the environment that supports that, right? So community, that is one of the other factors.
That's right.
If you don't have a community that supports your dreams, so I want to give you a little, I'm from Australia, in case any of you didn't know or didn't hear it.
Didn't hear it.
And we have a thing called tall poppy syndrome in Australia, which is if someone reaches a certain level of success, you cut them down, right? So we're not like, yay, that's so amazing, you got that promotion, good on you. We're like, oh, you got a promotion, well, all the drinks are on you then today.
And your actors, you have so many big actors, they're not really celebrated in Australia and then, until they make it in Hollywood.
When they're big, we celebrate, but as they're on the rise, we're like, oh, who do they think they are?
Too big for their britches.
It's crazy, but from that pressure, the ones that can break through are extraordinary. That's why some of the best actors out there are Australians. Some of the best designers are Australians. We have, for such a little country, we have just so much out there. And they're the people that are able to break through all of that pressure. And if you think about, I want to give you another example of pressure. Is it Mozart that was deaf, or Beethoven?
I think it's Mozart.
Maybe it was, I don't know. I should get that cleared up.
We did this last time, and I still think it's Mozart.
So, he one of the most extraordinary composers of our time, but was deaf, right? So it's like sometimes the bigger the hurdle you have to overcome, like Tony, the bigger you can expand and grow. Because if you can get through that, you can get through anything, right? You have a grit and a system for overcoming the impossible constantly, whereas a lot of people that are silver spoon fed really struggle because it's like they didn't have to overcome anything. So using your pain into your purpose is so important and so necessary sometimes. So, but having a community, why I wanted to talk about the Australian way of doing that. Did you look it up?
Beethoven.
There we go. Was that none of the ones we said?
No, we both said Mozart.
I said Beethoven.
Okay.
So having a support system. Now, coming from Australia, it is very wonderful when people can actually celebrate your wins. But, coming into LA was a whole thing for me because it's like everyone's so positive. But then there was an element of not really meaning it. At least in Australia, people say what they mean. There's an element of supporting you to your face and not so much behind the scenes, depending on what group you're in, right? So it's important to find authentic, wonderful people that will hold you to your greatness, not just yay. No, you gotta be held to your greatness and to rise from that. So a community that holds you to your greatness with tough love sometimes, but a lot of support so that you don't slippery sucker your way out of your goals and dreams. And that's what we do to ourselves. We're like, we'll fight for someone else, especially our children, but when it comes to us, we're like, doesn't really matter. No. I can do it tomorrow, or So you need a support system and a community that really keeps your goals in the forefront of the journey for you, even when you fall off, and helps you continue to rise and holds you to a high level, high account of those dreams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You need to be surrounded by people who are looking at you and listening for your greatness, not waiting for you to fail. So as you change, your friend group will change too, because you are the sum average of the 5 people you spend time with. Usually, and people always get offended when I do this, when it's your weight, your bank account, your quality of your relationships, the pant size, you will be very close to the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And so it's really important to have your environment and your community be something that is really powerfully pulling you forward and looking at you and listening for you, not as your past, but as your greatness. And I
actually read something really extraordinary about that the other day. Is sometimes on your way up to success, it can be lonely, because as you're expanding yourself, your current group wants to keep you the same because that's uncomfortable for them. And so you might lose some people before you meet the new amount of people that really support you and really lift you up. So sometimes there's a little moment where it can get a little lonely before you step into the next level of your evolution. And I think that's just, it was really hit me. It was really beautiful and poetic in a way that, if we want to be held as the same all the time, you got to just hang around the same people. Some of your people will be like, what are you doing? I want to be a part of that. Let's do this together.
And those are your friends.
They're the ones.
The ones that'll celebrate your victories. The ones that a good friend will be really excited for you when good things happen. That's a sign of a good friend. If someone is negative with you when good things are happening, they're not your friend.
And then start picking it apart.
You don't want to be around that person. You want people that when you have successes, like a lot of the folks in our program so far have dropped 10, 20, just releasing
90,
serious
80,
pant sizes
120 pounds.
But that'll trigger some people into either jealousy, or they'll be like, let's go get donuts. And you're like, listen, I'm not the type of person that... I'm the type of person that wears this size of pant. I'm not the kind of person that goes and smashes donuts all the time. So it's, your identity. And so we've covered...
I wanted to say one more thing on that before we move on, but
I think we're almost at the last point.
Oh my goodness! But with the community, so many people we've been running these programs for the past half decade, and especially through the pandemic, when so many people were leaving this planet, and there was a lot of death, there was a lot of trauma, there was a lot of isolation and loneliness. So many people said, if it wasn't for this group, I wouldn't know what I would have done, because they didn't have the same communication style and tools with their family and friends that they had in this group, because we promote really sharing authentically and, loving people exactly where they're at. So, that type of communication is not the norm. Everyone's like, keep it all to yourself and lock it in. Nobody wants to hear your stuff. And it's like, well, actually, you lock it in, and it's going to manifest as a disease in your body. So we're all about how to authentically communicate without stepping into a victim of it. So the thing I love the most about what we've done over this past half decade is the friendships that have come out of it. Now, we have people that now travel the world together, that do all these fun things, and they have this community of people that span across the globe, that they now have weekly check-ins with, or weekly Zooms with, or sometimes daily. And it's just so extraordinary to see the level of connection and love that has been created from this community. And so that's something that really lights me up about what we do.
Yes. So before we hop off of that, we have 3 meditations a day at a certain point in our year-long program called the Alchemy Method that I just didn't want to forget that a part of your existence system is we set you up to have these 3. They're just short. They're 5 minutes, and they are
morning, afternoon, night.
They're reminding you 3 times a day of what the future,
you're creating,
the vision of where you're actually headed, and that's something that we Kate's awesome voice is doing it. So one quick thing before we wrap this up is a lot of people have misaligned arrows, misaligned values. So they say they want $1 million, but they also want to sleep till noon. They say they want to have a great relationship, but they also want to watch porn. They say they want to, they want to have a travel a lot, but they don't, but they're too afraid to go get their passport.
Or they go and spend all their money, on sales, on stuff, and then say, I can't afford to travel. It's like, well... Yeah, and anyone can travel, by the way, just as a side note. There are ways in which to do everything extremely cheaply, but if that's your why and that's your value system, if you want to go and blow it on stuff at the mall, and even if you're like, oh, I got it on sale for $40, all those $40 add up to you not being able to travel. So your value system and your arrows have to be aligned with what you truly want. Continue, because I love this.
Well, having your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, everything going in the same direction. So a lot of people they want this, but they also want this, so they go nowhere.
Or the arrows are going
and so
all these different directions, all that energy is splaying out.
And so a lot of the time, like, you want to have an energy, but you're also eating processed crap food. So one of the things we help people do is align their arrows so everything's pointing in the right direction and actually taking you where you want to go. And they're blind spots. These opposing beliefs, opposing values are hidden from a lot of our sight because we're just in reaction, in survival. And some of our practices allow people to get into a place of rest and digest. And sometimes when you're in that place and your foot's finally off the gas, you're able to look at your life and go like, oh, I want this, but I also want that. And I'm going to have to give up one of those if I really want. Getting really clear on what you want and realizing that if you do want to have vibrant energy, maybe staying up till 2 a.m. on your phone isn't going to be the way to do it. And so you're like, okay, I want this. This is my identity. This is who I get to become. I have a community to support me. I'm clear. I'm reminded. I'm focused. I have an existence system. I have a team. I'm clear on what I want, and I'm clear on what I don't want.
It's smart goals. It's actionable. It's measurable. So you know when you land, so that you can celebrate those wins. Celebrating along the way is really important too.
It is. Yeah. Celebrate good times. Come on. All right. Well, I hope you took notes. Do you have anything else you want to add before?
Well, we should talk about our program a little bit. We've sort of peppered it throughout, but so for those that just know that they need that extra support, extra kick up the bum, extra love.
Kick up the bum or
up the bum. That's an Aussie term, I guess.
That's an interesting term.
Kick up the bum.
Not on the bum?
Up the bum. I don't know why.
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure about that term. Facebook's going to block this later. They'll be like, that's...
So for people that know, they're like, I have it and I just don't have the existence system. I don't have the community. I don't have the discipline. I don't have the current tools in my toolbox to get me to that huge leap of where I want to create myself, because what you can do in the space of a year is extraordinary. Like, you can be unrecognizable to yourself in the most powerful way in 1 year's time. So what we created, we've been running these programs for 5 years. We saw people that have done the impossible and the miraculous constantly, and have doctors scratching their heads saying this is medically impossible, and completely gotten their lives back. And that's because they had a strong why, and they were disciplined, or they were type A personality, and they were just going for it. Their why was so strong, they didn't need all the hand holding. Obviously, our program was there to support them, and the people were supporting them, but they were really going for it. Then there's the people that would get caught up in the excitement of things, and they would really go at it, and they would release a bunch of weight, or they would get to their goals, and then once they reached it, they would slide back. And that's because they were playing a finite game, not an infinite game. And then once they slid back, they gave up on themselves a little bit. Or they would just stay around there. They wouldn't stay at that extraordinary level, and that just became their new life. That's where they're at, and they're expanding from there. And then there was some people that could come on that they just weren't able to just get anything going because it was overwhelming, or they just didn't know where to start, or they didn't take any actions. They thought just by sitting and watching it like a TV show that they would get the results. Now, sometimes people do, because you're shifting belief structures when you're in that conversation constantly of your health and your life and your goals. So some people do get results even by watching it as a TV show, but you're not going to get the sort of results that you get if you're someone that's got their why and going for it. So we were like, how do we have everyone, no matter what their personality type, no matter what they're doing, how do we have them all have those miraculous, extraordinary goals? And so then that was the birth of the Alchemy Method, our year-long program that guides people step by step into really having everything that they want in the most profound way. And it all happens in the space of a year.
And our promise is, you give us a year, we will give you 10 to 20 years of health span. And you're going to get a blueprint in this year and who you're going to become. Up to that balloon. We're going to give you balloons too. give you a blueprint to design, a life that you really want for yourself. And it's bio-individual. So, we send you a blood test, and we've connected with the top functional medical doctors team in America, and you get 108 results, 108 markers on your blood, and we send you 5 detoxes, as well as some care packages along the way, and a bunch of goodies to
2 major detoxes, but they have several stages of them.
Liver, gallbladder, all these bowel.
And so you do those twice. The blood results you get at the beginning, and then you get after your second detox, so you can physically see in the numbers how quickly you can turn your health around. So some people are like, oh, I have this, I have diabetes, I have this, there's no hope for me, I'm on medications for life. We're here to say that it simply isn't true. Now, if you have a lot of health issues, it might take more time to get to your equilibrium, but you can drastically transform your health and your body in a year's time, drastically. And so many people with us have gotten off all of their medications, no longer diabetic.
With doctor's support.
We do this all with, that's why we have the medical team with us, so that it's all done that way, and then you connect with your doctor, and we teach you how to talk to your doctor about all of this. And if they have an ego and do not want to be a part of it, then you fire them and you get one that will work. So we'll teach you all of these ways in which to really own your health, really own your life, and own your goals and dreams in a way that was completely unimaginable. So if you're not someone that can just do it all by yourself, and listen, we tell you all these tips so you can action it by yourself, but whether you are able to maintain that and stay in the conversation of it, that's on you to discover. And if you know you need that extra support, that extra love, that extra help to really, get there in 1 year rather than in 10 or 20 years or 5 years, then get in, that connect with us. There is a link here that you can see. You get a free gifts based on what you choose your adventure. There's 3 separate gifts there.
Yeah, the link that will allow you to go and see what if releasing weight, we call it, is of priority. There's that. There's relationships, and there's longevity.
Reversing aging, yeah. So choose your adventure, and then if you want to connect with us, we have a team on hand to really hear what you're dealing with, what you're wanting to achieve, so you can really talk about your goals and dreams there. And if it feels like this year-long program is a good fit for you, then you get a private with either Paul or myself to be able to really go deep and find out a strategy on how to get you there. And then from there, we'll see if it's right for you or not. It's not just like a given. So we're committed that this world gets the tools they need to really up level in the most profound way. And it's simpler than you would think. We do it for a whole year so that you can have your habitual nature connect. Because sometimes we have to erase 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of habits in order to get.
Doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And we do live coaching weekly with you on Zoom.
And you get tons of content.
Yeah, constantly. There's actually a program you can watch it on through your videos on the go or on your computer that we've curated for a year-long journey here that's been gamified. So once you succeed in a certain level, you go to the next.
And if you're an introvert that doesn't usually speak up, there's no chance to hide with us.
You can't hide.
You can't hide. You're going to get coached.
Some of you are like, I'll do this someday. But honestly, if not now, then when? Yeah. And like my friend Johan says, if not you, then who? Like, nobody's coming for you. Nobody's coming to rescue you from your sugar addiction or your TV addiction. Like, you have to do this for yourself. And like I said, you can do all the steps that we just shared, but if you want a support and you want some coaches, which Kate and I have coaches, if you want somebody to guide you through this, that's why we're here, and we'd love to talk to you. So just click on that thingy, the link, and check out one of those gifts that we give you, and then book a call with one of our team.
And you get to powerfully choose. So just get amongst it and choose
dirty.
something for yourself, and you will learn something no matter like whether you talk to one of our team members, whether it's us, you will have extra things to take into your life right away.
Yeah.
So just get involved and make something happen for yourself. Get powerful about what you want for 2024, because you can have it all. It's not going to maybe look exactly the way you want it, and you'll have failures, which we love because that just means you're learning, and successes all along the way. So it's just get amongst it. Make choices that will create a new result. Like, just go for it. You have this. You can create whatever you want, which is so exciting. Anyway.
Yeah, so if you're seeing this later on, watching this on a repeat somewhere, hi. Please subscribe to us. There's a newsletters you can hop on, and also there'll be a link there, but also check out Freedom Alchemist, our website. And please share this. Maybe you know somebody that's...
And that's www.freedom-alchemist.com.
Yeah, you might know somebody who's always sick or always tired or is afraid of aging. Share this with them. You could seriously save a life. We've had a lot of testimonials where people say, you've actually saved my life. Because to be 120 pounds heavier than you need to be, or even 80 pounds heavier than you need to be, or 50, is a big emotional, spiritual drag. It was like when I carried Austin on that hiking trip, he was like 38 pounds, and I was like, oh man. It was 8 hours, to be fair, of him on my back. But I was like, this is what
in
pregnancy...
high desert, up a hill, but yeah.
Yeah, so women, my hat goes off to you. I don't know how you carry a baby, because that was something else. We love you all, and thank you so much for being a part of this summit. Next week is week 4. It'll be Wednesday, same time.
Yes. 11 Pacific on Wednesday.
Yes, and we only have 3 more left.
Yes.
Yes, of this 6-week free summit. We want to give you guys as much tools and strategies as we possibly can, so you get to really experience some freedom, some power, get your life back out of the dumpster.
Woo!
All right, everybody. Bye, Sharon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Mwah.
Big love.